Okay, folks, off to an early start today. We got something to work on. Something to do that we've never done before. And of course, I put all my things away, so something I'm looking for is not here where it should be. Is it here, maybe? No. I did too good a job of. Well, it shouldn't be long because it's something that's kind of useful. Let's just look around here, and I'm sure it will turn up. If not, we will come up with an alternative. There it is. It's my little container to put water in. So we got to do some decaling, and I've got to do something I've never done before. And I'll tell you about it when I get back here with the water source. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we got our water source here. And like I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to do something I've never done before. And it was kind of unexpectedly not doing it before. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm running a little bit of a snotty nose. I think it's allergies. I don't feel that bad, but and it's drip on the front end, which is usual. I usually get it in the back. So, but the entire car is covered in yellow pollen, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. So we have this 263 armored car. And I've already put the gloss varnish in the places where the decals are going to go. And that is, and I haven't narrowed down exactly where there's going to be, but it could possibly be here on the side, or maybe here on the side of this compartment, or, hold on one moment. Okay, so the locations are either here or here. I saw one here on the front, which is kind of unique. And the really unique one is I saw a picture of it, and this is actually for an Africa Corps vehicle. It had the cross underneath here on the roof. So I'm definitely going to do that. Now, the part that I've said I've never done before is, and this was kind of surprising, I'm not afraid of painting German crosses, okay? Because I can get pretty close to. I'm happy with how they turn out. Let's put it that way. However, this model actually came with some decal sheets, and I don't want to paint it underneath this antenna. Okay, that's sadistic to try to do that. So we're going to use a decal. Now, the thing that was surprised me about the decal is that these decals that it comes with, including these as well. This is for the 232, and this is for the 263. We're going to do the 232 next. It does not give you the crosses that are the ones that have the black in the center. You have to lay them as two. So in other words, you have to put the decal that's just a white cross and then lay one that's just a black cross on top of it. I've never done that before. So This morning, when I noticed it, I'm like, oh, well, let me look at some videos. I couldn't find a single video of what people did. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay down the white cross as normal, like I would normally do it, and then I'm going to seal over it with this, the same stuff I put on there before, the glossy, and then we'll lay the other one on top of it. That's what I'm planning on doing. So at least the one on the roof, I think I want to use. I don't know that I want to do all of them that way, but we'll see. Definitely the one on the roof, and want one of the narrow ones on the roof. That's what I saw. So one of these that's right here is going to be the one that's going to go on the roof, and then you know, I could see doing 3 other ones. These smaller ones here on the side here. I think I'm going to put them down here because I want it a little bit farther away from it. Happy Spähwagen. I always want to call it a Spähwagen. They just call it wrong. They should have been a Spähwagen the Spähwagen the whole time. And unfortunately, the license plates, it gives me 2 Luftwaffe vehicles and an SS vehicle. So, idiots. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these decals for those Luftwaffe vehicles, and I'm going to white out the Luftwaffe part, and then put hand paint an H in there. And if I don't like how that looks, then I'm just going to paint the whole thing white and just do like some scribble scrabble, which is what I've done before. So yeah. So let's look at. Oh, this one doesn't have the license plate. This one doesn't even come with license plates at all. Interesting. Okay, well, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But no, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and put down that, I'm actually going to use this one. I'm going to use this cross. So what's the worst thing that can happen? I ruin a decal. So, that's at least, I've thought about how I'm going to do it, and that's how I'm going to do it. So we're going to cross off, we're going to use one of these. And we're going to dip that there. Okay, the ones that go on the side, oh, we could use the open ones. Does it come with open ones? It does. Okay, that's cool. I don't mind the open ones on the gray. You can't use them. You got to use the black if you have a light color. Otherwise, they don't stand out well. Let's just use the open ones on the. Yeah, on the vehicle. Crap, it's saying to put it here in the middle. Well, I wasn't going to want to put it in the middle anyway, so. You look at examples online and you see all kinds of different things. So we're going to take 3 of these. All right, let's put all this stuff away. Does this one have, wrong one. Does this one have the license plate things? It does. Yeah, some we're gonna have to do scribble scrabble on. I just don't have enough of them. All right, so let's get our micro set. Not microsol, micro set. Do you smell vinegar? Yep. This weekend I gotta organize my brushes. They're all over the place. Let's put this in my new cup holder. Can't spill that in. More difficult. this stuff on top. I like it down here, to be honest with you. Why do I say that? To be honest with you. Like, I'm never dishonest. Just a habit of saying that. I don't make shit up. I don't need to. All right, let's put the white one down first because it's going to need some time to dry before I put a clear coat on top of it. Now, this is the symbol that the Germans would have if they were invading Poland, which just looks stupid. It looks like the Swiss Army. Okay, now let's get a small piece of this. So I guess, did you survive the purge, Rick? They didn't come for your job? You didn't get, what's the terminology for it? Reduced? Let's call it something else. They spent too much money on that holiday party is what it was, and they had to cut their losses somehow. It could be a little bit closer to the center. Yep, looks like you survived an up. There's been one before? Wow. I don't work for a big enough place to have those kind of problems. I think the whole company would have to go under. All right, I can't really, yeah, I can. There have been 3 fairly sizable layoffs in just the last 6 or so years. Oh, wow. Almost like Facebook. You don't have to be the best of your job. You just got to be better than everybody else. Do we have a shattered decal? That one's missing some of it. Yeah, part of that broke off. Wow. Well, I should have a whole set of German decal crosses. I guess these are old. Doesn't look like it. So if the roof one doesn't work, you got other ones. Just like to use the ones it comes with because They do have a lifespan. Uh-oh. First one I was there for, they sent meeting invites to everybody. Some of us were asked to board buses, which we took to the embassy suites across the street. They told us once we got there, those of us who boarded the buses were safe, and those left behind at the office were given walking papers. That's like too much like a freaking reality show. Wow. Was it based on performance? I hope so. You know, outperform anybody else, you keep them. But then, you know, you could have a supervisor that's out on crusade. You know how that can be. Well, that one's shot too, so let's just replace all three of them. F it. Let's replace all three. Nope. Nope. Bad boy. Put this away. That's how disasters get created. They're bragging like, why are we on these buses? We didn't even know where they were taking us. You work for a place that takes you on random bus rides places. All right, I'm going to... Man, I don't know if this thing's dry enough. Fuck it, I like living on the edge. I've just got these other ones that have both pieces stuck together, so if I botch this, I don't have 4 hours to wait on this. You know, let's not spill that. That would be, my floor would be extremely shiny. Where is this one? Yep. Okay, and now we'll let that dry. I don't like surprises at work. I got plenty of surprises as it is. Just the nature of my job. I don't like extra surprises. Now, I have no idea how long that's going to take to seal, but we definitely, I wanted to make sure I didn't brush it too much and then I end up moving it and then sealing it in place, so we'll have to come back to that in a little bit. Why am I having so much trouble with this? I've never had to be more anal retentive than I have in the past. I shouldn't have to move the paper up next to it and slide it. I've never had to do that before. Okay. Really narrow. What I hate is busy work. I hate just to do stuff just because. I find it annoying. Like, they can hire somebody else to do that kind of shit. Or, send out an email that generates 20 other emails. Like, no, we need to accomplish things. You got a problem, solve it. Not just kick it down the road. I swear, I wonder if some people don't get paid by how many emails they send out. I don't know if I'm going to be 100% happy with this, because it is pretty thin. But we'll give it a shot. Now, where's that other one that we sent back? Here it is. These are about the best decals out there, these microscale. They're really thin without, tearing. And look, it like stands up okay. Now, let's take this. You got any people from your work that subscribe to your channel, Rick? So you got to be careful when you film and you put videos out so people don't know you're playing hooky. Getting minis interrupt what we're doing just to tell us so and so is on leave. Okay, thanks for heads. I guess we could have just been an email. Yep. How's that mug that they make? I survived another meeting that should have been an email. I don't dare set that on top of it. Yeah, it's very faint. I don't know if I'm 100% happy with that. Yeah, I guess we'll see. A jiggly wheel. Well, while we're waiting for that to dry, we've got some things that we can do. And I'm not going to put the whole wet palette out here. Honestly, I wish there was a wet palette that was this size. But this will do just fine. It's working just fine. Let's put some flow aid down. And let's paint some tools and some rusty mufflers and so forth. So we need black out here. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of black. Yeah, word will get out every so often that I have a channel or someone will bring it up in a meeting, so I have a few coworkers on there. Of course, they like to share the waffle and blender videos. It's the two best videos. Here we go. Yeah, they probably find it funny that you cook, but I don't know. I don't think you've ever gone hungry. I haven't either. I was raised in a very traditional home where my mom did not have a regular employment type job, which is good that you can do that. I mean, if you want to do that. I mean, I think it's a good idea to be income dependent so that, if you need to kick somebody to the curb or leave or whatever, you've got some mobility, but that's good if you can do that. But So from my standpoint, the way I was raised, I think it's stranger. Not that you can't cook, but that, and I know several people of this, and I mean, I lived alone like 11 years before I got married. Call those the glory days. If only I had this channel then. Oh man. But I know lots of people who are married and the woman doesn't cook at all, doesn't know how to cook. And I'm like, that's weird. I'm not saying that anybody has to cook for me because I don't cook for me. I assemble shit. Like the girls go out of town, I'll clean out the pantry. I'll clean out the pantry of like old crackers, you know. I just don't think it's worth my time to, to get all the dishes and all that stuff and then do the work and then, I eat in like 3 minutes flat and then, I created a bunch of work for myself. Not that I don't appreciate different flavors, but, I make a salad or a sandwich or whatever. I assemble things. I'm good at assembling things, but I know lots of people that the female in the relationship doesn't cook at all. The man does all the cooking, which is fine if that works for you, but I like that's weird. Now, to be honest with you, I probably would enjoy cooking. I just don't think it's worth my time. Just like some people, I know lots of people that don't paint their own stuff. It's exactly like that, Oh, I don't have time to paint. Well, I don't have time to cook, At least the painting stuff, it stays made for a while. It's not like, 2.5 hours later, you go drop it off at the pond. But nobody's got to cook for me. Okay, we got that. But whatever works for you in your relationship, if you have one, is what's important. But like my dad didn't cook shit, nothing. But he's definitely old school, He's born in the 20s, so you do the math. Okay. So we did that. Let's bring these guys up a notch. I don't even grill. I make drinks. And I rarely drink. It makes me sleepy. I make good drinks that aren't too sweet. Because, you'll fall asleep then. That happened to me at lunchtime. I was falling asleep and I'm like, well, I gotta go to Starbucks and get a coffee. And my coffee is just black over ice, And the Starbucks coffee, you can say whatever it is, whether it tastes. I get it for the octane. You literally could go to a graveyard and pour a Starbucks coffee and like the zombies would come out. That's how strong their shit is. I don't know what they do. I've never done drugs unless there's drugs in that coffee, in which case, I'm an abuser. But anyhow, no sugar, nothing. I go to lunchtime, I'm eating my salad and having the iced coffee, and I'm watching, you found something funny, huh? Probably the Starbucks. It is. It's strong as shit. I mean, I'm like, when it comes to caffeine, I'm like an Irishman is with alcohol to caffeine. Like if this is, I drink caffeine all the time. I drink it down like an inch and my head's freaking spinning. So I sat down to watch, what am I watching these days at lunchtime? Community. And I'm watching Community at lunchtime, and I'm falling asleep. I probably fell asleep with like my mouth open, and I drank half the coffee. So I don't know. Maybe this wasn't such a strong batch after all. So always good to watch comedy at lunchtime. Sometimes it's needed more days than others. Lunch, I call it holy hour. That's why I won't mail things to people at the post office. That's the only time I have to go to the post office. And I'll be damned if I'm going to have it cut into my lunch, my holy hour. I want no part of that. Got everything sealed. We're going to need some white. Speaking of white, and you show up. Welcome, Mr. Barnes. Yes, I assumed you were a dude. I don't think I have a single person that subscribes to this channel that's female, and that's fine. I mean, it's, girls aren't into this. I wish they were. I'd enjoy playing these games with girls more. Maybe my wife wouldn't, but only if they're cute. There's a big thing on the miniatures page. Big stink. It was probably 15 years now. I haven't been on the miniatures page. I used to go on there all the time before I got into DBA. 15 years or so. And this guy was going on a crusade about how we need to open up our hobby. We all need to do a better job of open our hobby to women and other race. And like, there's just some stuff that's just not going to appeal to some folks. And that's fine, Like of all the conventions I've been to, and this is not a scientific study, all the conventions I've been to, of all the demographics that are the ones that don't normally came, this is a white male dominated hobby, pretty much. I mean, it started in England, and that's where, correct me if I'm wrong, Barnes, that's where all the white males come from. It is. It's where it was invented over there. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm fine with other people playing it, There's quite a few people of Asian descent that play it, and not too surprisingly, it's because there's a big group of players in Hong Kong, which was a British colony, So this guy was on a crusade, how we need to be more inclusive. Look, I'll put games on. If people want to play them, I'll play them. If they're not, they don't, When I go for my hobby stuff and I walk into Joann's Fabrics, I don't go on a crusade. Why am I the only straight white guy in Joann's Fabrics? I don't care, because it's a thing that doesn't appeal to most of them, It is. Get little old ladies. Are you lost, sir? No, this is my land. Get the hell out of here. Go back to your needlecraft, bitch. I mean, generalizations are generally correct. That's why they're called generalizations. Do they apply to everybody? Hell no. But generally, I always hear about these people in the UK playing at a pub. You like that, right? Let's tell it like it is. I mean, it's not that we only want white people playing the game. That's. I always hear about people in England playing at a pub. So we got a bar that technically is a pub here in town. It's actually a really cool place. It's very laid back, and it's like you're going into somebody's house. And we're like, let's put on a game there. Let's put on a game there. And it pissed me off because not a single person came by and made a comment. We were playing DBA about anything in the game. Not like, what are you doing there? What is that? Just everybody was oblivious. So I'm like, if you're not into gaming, screw you. We're going to put on our games. If you don't show up, it is what it is. Most people aren't interested in that. They're fascinated by people playing with a ball on TV, And not only are they fascinated by it, they get freaking angry, like it's, like you screwed with their mother or something like that. And you just, dude, you don't even know any of these people. Like, look, we're do our thing and you guys do your thing and whatever. Not a single person came by. We waited in an airport. A buddy of mine and I were on our way to Historicon like 2007 or 2008. And we had to wait on a flight for like 6 hours at the airport. So I had my little map. We played DBA over, not even really in a corner, but out of the way. No one came by. No one came by and said, what you got there? Oh, those look like soldiers. Nothing. Not even dudes. It's like people just aren't into history. They're just not, So I don't necessarily need to be around gamers, but I just feel like just generally, and there's just like people that aren't into stuff that's, that I'm interested in. The thing that I'm interested in that would appeal probably to more people is cars. And the problem with cars is, some people that are into cars are into showing off. And, and those people are just dickheads. Whatever you have, they have 3 of them and it's a piece of shit. The same thing with guns. If you're into guns, you got half the people that are like, oh, I got 70 of them, or whatever. And what you have is crap. They're just assholes. But those people are that way about everything, not necessarily that it's that particular group. Is this thing dry or not? I've got to screw with it. I ain't got time to wait here like 3 hours for this thing. This is quick dry. So we're going to test this over here. I don't see it rubbing off. It is supposed to be glossy. We're going to throw that other one on top of it, and hopefully it doesn't shatter. One of my favorite things is to put on a game at a local shop, and it baffles me sometimes when people walk, not a word. How can you just walk by this? Exactly. Most people suck. They do. Like when I go to a car show and I see something cool, I make it a point to tell the guy, hey, I like what you did here. Why can't you just be happy for other people? Or you go, that guy's got something nicer than I do. I better not say anything to him. What, like you take away your power or something? All right, now we're going to play with fire. But it's a people issue because, like, for instance, when Mitch and I used to go every month, we used to go to the range, and we used to do a tournament type thing that we didn't run it as a tournament because we just wanted to get better with what we were doing. Half the people were assholes. The other half of the people were cool. And half of those other half of the people, I wouldn't mind doing something with them on the side. So you're like 25% of the folks. Oh boy. Let's see what we got going on here. What are you doing here, you little decal? You're not part of the... You didn't get invited. Get your ass out of here. I'll read your comment in a second, Rick. I'm fighting this bastard here. Yeah, there are definitely things like that. The other person claims to have more of them, and also theirs are better. Yeah, those people suck. I like appreciating others' things, but some have to make it a competition. Yeah. Well, you can't have everything, you know? It's not good to not have anything, but... Well, I guess it's in register. We'll let that percolate for a little bit. I'm just going to move forward with these small, thin decals. The crosses are a little thinner than I'd like them to be. But I think at the end of the day, it'll end up being fine. You can't really get a good idea of what it's going to look like until you do the weathering. And then be like, oh, okay, that puts it all together. Cool, you know? Like, I painted the tires all the way around this morning, but I didn't paint the tread part, and I don't think I'm going to. Because it's black. I never dry brushed it gray. So, we're going to paint these two rusty things on there. That's where we're going to go next while this thing dries. Been 2 hours since my last sip cup drinks. I'm going to go grab an iced coffee, but I'll be back in a few if I'm still on. I should be. I guess you're getting your money's worth out of that, huh? Do they know you by name? Hey, it's the guy in the blue Jeep. No, I don't think you're driving your Jeep right now, are you? You're driving a El Trucco. What's the truck's name? Bob? Don't you have a Billy? You gotta have a Bob. Yeah, your blue vehicles. You got Bronco Billy. And then I don't know what the hell your BMW is called. You gave it a weird name. Dole? There must be a hidden meaning behind that one. I know you might have... No, that truck does not have a name. It's Bob. And you got Billy and Bob. What about Bob? I haven't seen that movie. Is that a Bill Murray movie? Dole is your Skyrim character. You know what I found out yesterday? I know, nobody's a fan of this because I brought it up several times and nobody comments on it. Is that if you pre-order Diablo 4 on St. Patrick's Day, you can play the pre-beta. So, my family doesn't game, but they game that. So, I've even teased them. We should get a new TV for that. There's nothing wrong with the old TV, but it's not 4K. But the human body is a mother. You buy a better TV and you just go, yeah, this is what it always looks like. You know, that's how we survived the Ice Age. We adapted and overcame. Okay. Dole. You only have one Skyrim character? I guess when I played, what's that game that's the time suck? I know, which one? They're all time sucks, right? Man, I haven't played it in 15 years, probably. World of Warcraft. I guess for that I only had one character. But I'll play a game like Diablo. I'll play every one of the characters and have multiple characters. I like them all. I have my favorites. See, again, I brought it up. Diablo 4. Nobody plays it. No Diablo fans. Shame on you. Ever since the first one. Big fan. Except those weirdos that don't like Diablo 3. And they think Diablo 2 is better. What's wrong with you? Buying arrows. I'm not playing a game where I have to buy arrows. That's horseshit right there. Go back to town and buy arrows. Menial. Menial job. I guess if the game is very time consuming, then I don't really have time to play more than one character. I really like Borderlands. And I don't have multiple characters for Borderlands. So I guess, but man, that's very time consuming. That's a time consuming game. I would have liked to have been on the team that came up with the writing for what the people say, not designing the stuff, because I'm not one of those computer folks that can do that. I'm not a programmer, but I'm just talking about the narrative. There's some funny sayings in that game. I never played the first one. I got the first one maybe, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I don't like. Crap. I'm probably talking about stuff that Rick wants to talk about, so I may have to bring it up later. But I hate boss fights. I absolutely hate boss fights. And I hate sponge magnets. I think that's the correct. No, bullet magnets. No, bullet sponge. Thank you. You know, on and on and on and on, fighting the same guy and multiple times to try to kill him. I mean, I don't want it to be too easy, but I also don't want to bang my head into the wall. You know, some of us do have jobs. That's why we were able to buy the $60 game. Not like, well, Daddy bought it for me. Well, what if your daddy's buying you the game? Why are you playing a mature game? Because you have a shitty daddy. That's why. Oh man. Wish I'd gotten babysat by a mature rated game. Go to your room. No problem, Mom. I'm going to just sit here and watch soft porn. I don't know what, but this is behaving weird. There we go. Start over with this. Uh-oh. feel fine, except that I'm like a leaky faucet. Last PC you got into heavy was 7 Ways to Die. Is that one that you're basically, you don't have anything and then you have to like create hatchets and stuff like that and then work your way up? They've got like a phone type of game that's like that. That's just like, I don't like a game where it's like you need to like take a breather. Like, let me go in a corner and just give me a second. But if you're constantly being pestered with zombies and stuff like that, I find it very stressful. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind a game that's stressful, but it's like you need to go somewhere and like be able to like be chill for like 5 minutes and like look through your inventory and stuff like that, but not like constantly like, geez, man, leave me alone for a second. Yeah, I never played it. I never played it. It seemed like it'd be a stress out for me. There's a game I have for the VR that's very good. It's Walking Dead. I forget what the hell it's called. Walking Dead something or another. But it's for the VR. And if you've never done one of those VR things, don't look at the videos for what it looks like the gameplay is, because they don't do it justice. They really do look pretty good. And they can cause you to fail morale checks, like in real life. So like I have one, and it's Walking Dead, so it's a zombie thing. And what's unique about it is, or kind of what makes it extremely challenging, though there's two things that make it really challenging. It actually doesn't start off being really challenging, but it ramps up too soon. And you'll go into an, you have to pick up items, and you have to pick up items to make a screwdriver or a hatchet, or or a baseball bat, or and then of course much more complicated things. But everything has durability, and you cannot repair anything you've built. So if you build a baseball bat, it's only good for a certain amount of wax. Then you have to build another baseball bat or another weapon, or find another weapon, which are certainly not all over the place. There's definitely a lack of them being out there. And how's this doing? This is behaving weirdly. I don't know if I'm going to be happy with how that turns out. Well, we can just wipe the bastard off and hand paint one, or do one that's 2 parts. But anyhow, so everything you have loses durability. So let's say you buy a baseball bat, or you don't buy one. You've got to make one with stuff you fall off the ground. But it's very interactive in that you literally have to reach down and grab things. You have there's like a button on your thing that's like your grip thing. It's very natural. It's not awkward at all. It's very well designed. But you're literally doing these and putting them in your backpack and putting it in your bag. And obviously in your backpack you can only carry a certain amount. Go back to your base and build stuff. When you're on the maps where you find these items, you have literally a watch, and your time goes by. And after a certain amount of time, the alarm goes off, and so you've got to basically get back to your base. So there's some time in there. Like when you're at your base, time stands still. But when you're out in the world, it moves kind of quickly. I mean, you basically have about, I'm going to say 10 minutes. You go out like in 10 real minutes, and you got to get back to base. It might be 7, but it's certainly pressing. And the bad thing is when you come back to base, it gets a little bit harder when you go back out again. So you can't just there's a sense of urgency with things. But the game cheats, and what I mean by that is, let's say you go into a level and it's like, the town square or whatever. You get on a town square and you walk into this, and nobody's behind you because you just showed up, right? So you're just methodical about it. The same way that I play games like, I like to play games that have keep away type characters. So games that are like, where you're like what I like to call a bow bitch. You know, you're basically shooting, but you can't stand there in a fight, so you got to dance around. So you need to leave yourself some space to fall back on. So it's very natural for me to like, let's clear this area out. All right, we know no one's here, and then you can proceed. And that way, if you do see somebody, they're only coming to you from one direction, not like all the way around you. But the damn game cheats, and guys appear behind you after a certain amount of time, and it scares the living shit out of you. You know? Welcome back, Marcus. And I don't need that in my life. You know? It's my job is very stressful, and you know, I don't want to be spooked. You know? There's a demo. The nice thing about it is you could try the game out, and if you don't like it, return it. I got one. It was called, I'm going to say it was called Contractors. It may not have been called Contractors, but it's a first person shooter, literally. Actually, I guess it would be a, you know, you're actually doing all the stuff and reloading the rifle and everything. It's a modern type game, and I start off like in this base, right? And I just, you know, I picked up a pistol, maybe put a magazine in. Oh, there's a rifle over there. What's this red button do? I press the red button, and all of a sudden there's these zombies that are coming into this base. Now, given they're walking really slow, but I am literally have 4 left thumbs, and I don't know how to load this weapon. And I'm like, I can't do this. I turned it off and I returned the game. I'm like, I don't need this in my life. You know, and I'm pretty good at first-person shooters. Like, you know, I'm not the best, but I've been playing them my whole life since the first Wolfenstein 3D, you know. But sometimes, as I've gotten older, some stress just isn't worth it. It just isn't worth it to have some kind of stress, you know. You might have found something of interest to you. Hit me. But I have 2 flight games, and they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing flight games. Now, if you have any kind of motion sickness, you're doomed. I'm obviously not motion sickness because I can handle them, but they're amazing. The stuff you can do, they're very natural. You can look around everywhere you go. You can see what's coming up. Well, you could be banking, you know, like at 45 degrees, and you can look ahead to see what's coming in before it's in your view of your reticle for your guns. It's very immersive. Your regular online buyer at Michigan Toy Soldier, and notice they have the Pegasus 1-2 kit I mentioned. Really? Do they have it? Okay. Well, that calls for going to see it right now. I actually did a deep search yesterday. Michigan Toy Soldier. All right, let's see what we got here. I don't know. You know, it's not like they're out of business. You know, they're made in China. It's not like, you know, we're at war with China yet. I've bought from them before. See? I bought from Historicon. Search websites. Let's do a search for Pegasus. Pegasus Bridge, Pegasus Hobbies. Keep going. What? They got the Russian farmhouses? That's, 144 scale. Screw that noise. I think it's got to dry anyways. Let's see here. I'm an idiot. Otherwise, I could just bring you along for a ride. I don't know how to do it. Next. Oh, they have a 2-pack of those. Panzer Design 1946. That's just nonsense. I don't know who somebody came up with that on a dare. What? Well, it says they're available, but I've seen them say something's available and it's not. I need to get some of these Russian houses at some point when we go into new buildings. All right. So here's a note on here. Available. This item is normally stocked, but may take up to 2 weeks for delivery if not in stock. We will notify you of any delays. Please let me use PayPal, because there's buyer protection with that. Thank goodness for autofill. $9.50 for shipping. Welcome to the new normal. Okay, guess I should have checked that box. Okay. Thank you. We'll see if we get it now. Yep, well, I just ordered 2 of them. So that'll be 4 tanks. I mean, it's still $9 shipping. Thank you, Marcus. We'll see if they come in. We'll see if they come in. And what I was planning on doing is building all the tanks and then switching out the turrets because you know, we'll see. Thanks for the recon on that. Yeah, I appreciate it. I like sharing that kind of stuff too. And then of course we're going to have an unboxing video. We'll probably build them. Well, you probably already built them before, but I was looking at Russian tank commanders, and I think at some point, maybe even this weekend, I'm gonna try painting some of. I got lots of plastic figures, and I think they'll actually paint up okay. I'm just worried about them falling off. You know, the paint falling off of them. So I definitely need to experiment doing some of them, but. You know, we want some guys, obviously, with some tank commanders staying out. Yep. Want to see me build them. I'll do it live, man. I promise. I promise. And I'm not the world's best builder, but I'm closer to that end than I am the worst. I learned from my mistakes. But, you know, the panel, like the same thing is, you know, there's and one of the videos I'm going to do when the girls are gone is I'm going to start doing this series because I don't have gameplay videos like I used to. And I don't mind sharing stuff I found out with a hobby is, just tricks that I've found that might help other people. The problem that you do with that is that you open yourself up for people like, you just didn't do it. Hey, if you want to do things a different way, by all means, I'm just showing you some stuff that's kind of cool. Like I saw on one site, some guy's like, take panel lines off. Don't scrape this part. Use the back side of the blade. And I'm like, there's a black side to the blade? I mean, how many X-Acto knives have we gone through? And I didn't know that, Used to have the BA6 set, not the KVs. Okay, well, the BA6 set isn't a priority for me because I do have one of them from BP Cast. It's pretty shitty, but well, with the KVs will have freaking "Your mother was a hamster" or whatever, written on there. Your fascist mother wears combat boots, written on the side of them. And of course, we'll hand do that. That's a big thrill. I enjoy doing that. So this is kind of discolored a little bit. And I don't know what I feel about that. It's like the paint underneath it is discolored. Let's see what some water does to this. Well, we're going to wait for this to dry, and then we're going to come in here with that same gray and then close that up, and then that should work just fine. So anyways, we're working on some rusty stuff here. Man, much appreciated. Man, I've looked and looked and looked and looked. Hey, I should buy 10 of them and then resell them. No, I'm not that person. But I don't know why they became so difficult to get a hold of. Those are great vehicles for skirmish because they especially the KV2, rotates the turret really slow. So it may be a situation where the turret only rotates, I don't even know what it is. They may only rotate 15 degrees a turn. So, and we are going to game live. We are going to game that live. So we'll figure it out together. I've played the rules a few times, and I really like them. And but one of the first things I got to do is I got to make myself like cheat sheets, like a flow chart, so I don't screw something up inadvertently. And so it'll run smoother because it's just like Advanced Squad Leader. There's so many rules in there, but you don't need them for everything. Like you don't need to know what the rules are for Bangalore torpedoes because you're probably never going to use them. And if you are, you just look up that one little spot. But they got everything in there. Weather, flamethrowers, First scenario, you start off, you're just using submachine guns, rifles, and grenades. Sidearm, and some pistols, And the PPShy is different than the MP40, but they're not dramatically different. The mechanics are still kind of the same for them. And you have some old Fujimi, I think 176. Yes, they're big, so no problems. Exactly. Well, I use those damn 187th vehicles, which I'm really glad I did. Oh, so if we got KVs coming, I got to solve the problem with the basing. All right, well, I just need to think about it. I'm sure I can come up with something like this. Worst case scenario, I'll make them out of wood. I don't want to do that. But worst case scenario, I'll make them out of wood. I'd like to use something that's a little bit more impervious to flexing. But I really want to do some figures. But I'd also like to say, hey, let's try to get all the stuff that I have done in a year. Of course, I just added another task on there. Oh, we're having fun. The people that like Ancients in 15 millimeter aren't liking this. I got a couple of videos I did recently, and I got a couple thumbs downs, and I wonder, it's probably some people that are missing doing 15 millimeter stuff. But I was thinking, I'm done with DBA, and I may give Lion Rampant a try with DBX basing. I think it should probably work okay. I've played it a couple times and was okay with it, but as far as painting stuff, this is what I want to do. I'm sold on that. I put this away way too long, and there's just so much super interesting stuff that's available now that wasn't available 20 years ago on the internet. Super interesting stuff. So, and it's nice, in one day, on a weekend certainly, I can build something and then paint it and then it's done and move on to something else. Not like, oh, here I am, another 24 figures of archers, and then that's still only 4 stands or whatever, It's not that it was unsatisfying doing the 15 millimeter stuff, because it wasn't, but it takes a long time for what you do to show up, to have any effect on what you have. That is black. That is not the color we need. We need Panzergrau. And we need a little bit of Luftwaffe blue. And the game is slow, but the game plays like a freaking movie. Where it's like, roll to see where the grenade lands. Oh shit, it landed in the worst of places. Oh, this is going to work fine what I'm doing. That's, I actually welcome problems because it's an opportunity to fix something that's always going to happen. And if you don't have any problems, you don't know how to fix them. Everybody's going to have them too. I saw this in an illustration. It was an Africa Corps vehicle, and I'm like, oh, I like it on the roof. Blammo. Excellent. All right. Do we have? We're going to put decals on the on the license plate. This one, or we'll leave the license plate for somebody else. Well, I've got 3 of them. I'm just gonna paint it white. Well, we'll see if we do in fact get them in. And I don't know what the problem is with those models, because I don't think they're discontinued. You can get all the other models except that one. But that place is for real. Michigan Toy Soldier. The place I ordered from, they actually had them down to $11 a piece. And I still haven't heard from them. And I don't mind having some of the later KVs, but I got to start off with the early ones. And I actually like the KV one with the big bolts, with the bolt-on armor. I think that's the one the Germans called the KV-1E. That's a good-looking vehicle. Well, now we could have 4 of them. Or 4 KV-2s. Which, I was telling at one of the earlier shows, I was reading the book on Kursk. And the Soviets launched a counterattack. I'm going to do a really bad job of describing this. So let me grab a piece of paper, which honestly, I should have a piece of paper here a lot more than I do. I hate keeping shit to myself. It's just stupid. Why bother learning stuff if you're not going to be able to share the enjoyment? All right. We can probably use a pen for this. Except I cleaned my whole area out. Here, you're down here. Okay. So we're talking cursed, right? And I'll turn this around so it's the right way. So the cursed salient is, you got the bulge here. What did I do? I pick a pen that doesn't work well? I got tons. I guess I shouldn't put it back with the other ones. We'll decide if we're going to fire you later. Okay, you got the cursed bulge. It's like this. So you got a curse that's here in the middle. I'll turn it right. I'll turn it the right side away so you guys can see it. There we go. Okay, so curse is here. So you've got I can't write upside down. You've got modal that's here, running in the northern end, and you've got Manstein that's down here running this one. I forget which way. IE, EI, whatever. Anyhow, so you got the push here. These guys didn't get very far. And then these guys got further, but still, you know, something like that. So they start at the same time. This one gets called off after like 3 or 4 days before this one. And one of the things that happens is, of course, the Soviets know all this is going to happen and they're prepared. They've got multiple lines of defensive. It was a fiasco on many different levels for the Germans. And one of the things that happens is that just when this one's petering out, is the Soviets attack this way. And Modal's having to transfer some of its units to come back here and use them as a blocking so they don't get, you know, encircled again. And one of the things that leads one of the attacks I was reading was a bunch of KV-2s. Now this is mid-43. KV-2s probably weren't anywhere they were running just because of spare parts. And I want to say like 50 of them or something like that did like an attack. And they got massacred. The KV-2s got massacred. And, you know, the further waves that went in there actually ended up creating a problem where Modal had to basically pull out of there. But that's one of the things that I was reading about the KV-2s. They came in and attacked in there. So, good for plastics. Tend to build decent sized order. Helps on shipping. Also regular 20% discount, so helps offset shipping. Okay, cool. Well, we'll have to check it out. I normally don't order in bulk. So I don't mind paying extra. I don't want to buy something that's not going to get used. That's the bigger sin for me. So, but KV-2s at Kursk. So, anyhow, one of the Panzer divisions came over there. I want to say it was the 12th. Came in and just butchered them. But that could be a scenario. Anyhow, figured I'd share. I'm always reading all that history with, you know, like a freaking notebook. I don't have a notebook, but I should. Well, I'm driving. That's the problem. Probably don't need to have a notebook if I'm driving. But yeah, I'm always looking at stuff from a scenario viewpoint. Always. You know, and from a skirmish scenario viewpoint, you know. So, okay, I think that this will be fine once we, by the way, Marcus, I know you do 20 mil or 70 seconds, 76, whatever. What rule sets do you use, or you're just building the stuff? Now, I need to check and see if this is... You know what? F it. Let's finish this thing. Let's do some dry brushing. That's what we're here for. Let's put all these little extra things away. Alberto Martin Bartolome. Welcome. let's get a dry brush that we have some confidence in. How about this guy right here? I'm always reading stuff with the standpoint of doing scenarios. That's the whole purpose, so you could participate in the history. All right, so these guys are going to be particularly dusty. Now, I got to keep this little wheel from moving or it's going to go nuts. Keeping in mind that there is a lighter shade to go on top of this afterwards. So you don't want to go crazy with this, although I tend to go kind of light on the weathering because I still want it to look like it's a gray vehicle. The reality is if these guys never clean this vehicle, it's still going to rain, and assuming it's not super muddy, some of it's going to wash off. So, good question. I've actually been working on your own. Not as detailed as yours sounds, but I also like the storytelling aspect. I also want my games to look great, and it gives me a chance to dig into the history. Yeah, it's all about telling the story. It's all about the narrative. For me, anyhow. No, I interrupted myself from doing this of doing it in white. Well, we'll do it. Damn it. I got excited with the map. I love maps. I use Google Earth like you wouldn't believe. So this last week, I did something different. I talked about doing this, and I went ahead and did it. Although I went about it a little bit differently than I thought I was going to. I'm going to cancel my Audible subscription, but the way Audible works is if you do that and you don't use up all the credits, you forfeit them. So I need to pick what my next 8 books will be and then cancel my membership. Probably put it on hold for like a year, because it's not that I'm not using it. It's just I'm going through, a book is taking me more than a month to get through just from driving, which I guess is good. That means I'm not sitting in traffic for excruciating long period of time. And I was going to subscribe to a war game magazine, but what I didn't know is you could actually get individual issues in PDF for $5 each, which is a lot better than paying $11 each of them at the newsstand price. So I picked up a magazine from, I guess it's maybe 3 years old or something like that. But it had a lot of World War II articles, including one that had several scenarios that are useful. So it's nice that you could actually see what the table of contents is before you decide to pull the trigger on getting that particular issue. And that's what I did. I saw it was one that had articles on the big cats, and there was a few scenarios in that issue, including one that has a couple panthers. So of course now I'm like, okay, let me get some panthers. I'm like, no, let's just get through what we have. I actually do have. That scenario actually calls for 3 Panther A's, which I only have 1 Panther A. The other ones are G's, but does it really matter? It does to me, but it also has 3 M10 U.S. tank destroyers, which I don't have any of. And I think the only ones that are good would have to be the ones from UM, because the plastic soldier, not the plastic, the armor fast ones, even though they lack detail, one detail that they seem to lack is the breech. So they don't have the breech of the 76 millimeter gun in the M10, and it is an open top gun, an open top turret, that the breech is partially visible. I mean, it's pretty noticeable that wouldn't be there. Now, there's been rumors that they have reissued that particular model, and it has been corrected now with a breach, but there's no way to tell when you order something which one you're going to get, if you're going to get one of the old ones or one of the new ones. And I don't want to get an old one with no breach. So, I think the way forward with that is to do the ones. Now, in the meantime, you could run the same type of scenario and just substitute, SU100s instead of the M10s. So, anyways, it was just kind of food for thought. Some scenarios in there that they were relatively small, and there were inspiration for. I think the author said he used what a tanker for him. I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm good with these. I'm good with these rules for vehicles. Or at least I think I'm good with these rules for vehicles. Let's try them out. But I've read through them, and I like the mechanics of. It really makes a difference if you have good leaders, and if you have, a 3-man turret is significantly better than a 2-man turret, which is of course better than a 1-man turret. And those things are, those are important things that I think need to be simulated. But I didn't realize I could just go and I'll get this article. Because the last thing I want to do is subscribe for a year, and then they have a bunch of articles that are on periods that I'm not interested in. Like they have a lot of they have a lot of 18th century stuff, and I'm like, I'm just not interested in the 18th century at all. From the standpoint of creating any stuff for that. So anyhow, just food for thought. But all the adverts for figures, they don't tempt me at all. They're all for 28 millimeter. That's pretty much all the advertising for figures now in magazines is either 28 millimeter or 15 millimeter World War II. I'm immune to both, so I won't be getting either one of those two. I'm perfectly happy with what I'm doing. All right, let me get a beverage and I'll be right back. All right, let's get this fan rolling a little bit more. Damn. Gotta go. Dan, got go. You all will catch this video tomorrow. Okay. Thanks for the recon on that, man. Much appreciated. We'll do it live. I don't want to do this shit by myself. It's stupid. I don't really expect people to just sit here and, watch some idiot talk to himself, but, You know, I've watched other people's videos where I'm working on my own hobby stuff, you know. And I got in the habit of having someone to hobby with for many years. And that's really the best way to do it. Doing this solitarily is not my idea of a good time. Now, the flat stuff that I use now, which is Vallejo Air Brush Matte. Man, it is very matte. It works very well. I'm very happy with that. And can say bye-bye to the rattle cans. No more toxic rattle cans. And I just go really thin with it. I mean, by the time I spray one side, you know, I'll do this side, and then I'll do this one, and I do that one, and do the back, and then do the top. And by the time I come back, this side I already put it on is already dry. Hey, Joe, welcome. You gonna have the new ships done for your Battle of Iquique? Did they come in? I think everybody enjoyed that game, those games a lot. Did you like that spreadsheet I created? I was just bored, and I'm like, I wonder what kind of. I was just kind of like, okay, well, what ships do they make for that period? And I thought they would have actually made more. I mean, talk about making a lot of British ships and not much for everybody else. Well, there was quite a few for some nations, but some nations didn't make anything. I was surprised that nobody made the ships from that Dutch, not the Dutch, the Danish, Austrian battle that we did. And you could probably get ones that would work for them, but nobody that made those specific ones. I was actually pretty surprised. All right, we're going to do some of this edging in the ground color. Some of this is going to kick up. These things can go up to 50 miles an hour, so if anybody's kicking up dust, it's these bastards. Maybe they had an incident and they saw some Russian vehicles. Like, get the hell out of the way. I mean, these guys can't fight at all. You got a machine gun and that's it. Point defense, and only point defense to the front. If these guys are fighting, there's a whole lot of other guys that aren't doing their job to keep the enemy off these. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. When I was done with this guy the other morning, I really wasn't very happy. But the other things I have to remember is that it didn't have any dry brushing on it in these on these earth colors, and they build upon themselves. It's not like we're just dry brushing one color. You're dry brushing two of just, you know, from the weathering, which will find itself in the base work. You know, all these colors you see that have worked themselves on the vehicle are on the base that the vehicle is on. So it's not like they're in a vacuum or anything like that. And that just helps tie the whole thing together. You know how I hate things moving without having orders. Simon didn't say you could move. Bastard. Now these little vestiges of shininess will all disappear when I do the airbrushing. And I don't know how durable the coating is. I guarantee it's not as durable. But just not having to smell that stuff. Notice I didn't say breathe it in. You can make it a way that you don't breathe it in, but it's still going to stink up the whole garage, even with the door open. We used to use the Model Master spray, and that stuff actually, it has a smell, but it wasn't like overpoweringly, offensive. Overpoweringly. Yeah, I make up words. You guys know that. I'll say things I would never write down. It's what we do in the South. And we still have the Iraqi sand lighter color to do, so. All right, Iraqi sand time. The new ship likely not ready this weekend, but we'll be there for recon. I haven't signed up for anything. Oh, this is dark sand. Nope, it's close, but no cigar. I haven't signed up for anything at recon. I was gonna sign up for one of the secret games, but I'm like, I'm leery of playing a long game with people that I don't know, that may end up being not any fun. I shouldn't say fun, animated. We're animated. And people that just sit there like a bump in a log, that's no fun. We have fun, damn it. Maybe not all the time, but when the right thing happens, or the wrong thing happens, depending on what side you are, And I'm fine not playing something in the first session because I want to look and see what people have to sell. And you really can't judge what this is going to look like until you do seal this. So now, as I like to say, I'm going to have to step away from this thing. So this whole way I've done this is what I envision doing my Africa core like, except a hell of a lot heavier. Almost where you can't even see the gray. But it'll still be there. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's bring it over here with a partner. Let's partner this up with a Panzer III. That Panzer III almost like it doesn't even have any weathering on it. Now, that's fine. This thing's going to be kicking up a lot. It's got a lot of angles too. That makes a big difference on how this looks. Now, we're going to do some Nuln oil back here to make those things pop. But I think I'm going to leave this as is. Now, before I get any further along, we need to do one thing that I probably should have already done. Let me pull the other armored car out. And we're going to cut all the bases. Now, first thing I'm going to check, can any of these halvesy bases that I have left over work? I'd like them to be the same size. And they're not, they're a little narrower. Well, I'm not too worried about that because they will be used for something else. Are all of these too narrow? No. This one's all right. You know what? I'm just going to cut new ones. We have 5 vehicles. Okay. Those of you that ask what I use for basing, here you go. This is what it is. It's shims. Construction shims. I don't think they're going to be bigger than half of one. Let's put the Panzer III back. You can put these back. Actually, I got a use for them. Let's take a look at this. All right, I like that width. But this one's a little on the small side. So, nah, it should still be okay. It should still be okay. Let's just do them all the same width as this one. So let's get the X-Acto knife out. Otherwise, I'll just chop them in half. And you get 2 out of each one, but we're going to have a little bit left over. Move it just a little bit. So we don't want it any smaller than that. Keeper, use the same one. Come over to this side. This one is the main one. I'm just going to cut one out because we just have 5 vehicles. So I'll leave the remainder here for something else that will fit on many different things. Okay. This is the remainder, so we're going to put it in here. So we should have 5 that are now within a millimeter of being exactly the same. Okay, we can take this armored car and put it away. Nordic, welcome back. Well, you missed it having to do something I've never had to do before. And that was putting one decal on top of another one. Because this was a white cross and then a black one on top of the white one, which was weird. So. Okay, corners. Let's kill those corners. Oh, we need the height advantage here. Level 1 height advantage. This thing's asking for having one of them crooked spider flags draped on the top of it, isn't it? How did it go? It went okay. I tried to what you had to do, and I couldn't find any videos of it, and then I just used common sense, and I said, we'll put one decal down, we'll seal it, we'll put clear coat between it, and then we'll put the other one down on top of it. And that's what we did. And there was a little bit of discoloration, not on the decal itself, but on the paint. And we covered that over. Should be just fine. Nothing on the job interview front for you? Gets caught in here is really the only problem with this method. Just kind of get an idea how this thing fits on there. Just fine. I'm itching to do some figures. And I'm itching to do the faces. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't want to paint faces. Now I live for painting faces. Rick's back. Is it Duncan that's doing that? Or it's Panera. That's a place that, God, they're expensive. I don't feel like it's a good value. I mean, obviously your drink thing's a good value, but the food there, I just don't think it's enough food for the price you pay. Do they know you by name there yet? I assume that you're going to the same one. You have a good reason why it took so long. I can't wait. We're talking about your vehicle names of the day. It never occurred to me to name a vehicle. Now, maybe if if it was a Gaslands vehicle, if it was like a vehicle that was like in a road rally or, had guns on it or something like that, but a civilian vehicle, never occurred to me to name one. Here we go. Mostly the same one. The other one on occasion if I'm out that way. Tell me you're not having sugary coffee. You probably are. You're going to get that age, Rick, where you won't have your metabolism's gone. And you can't have sugary stuff. I remember way back in the day when I was a soda-holic. Well, when I drank regular soda. It was regular Pepsi was the drink of choice. And one year, of course I was in my 20s, probably 26, 27, something like that. I switched from regular Pepsi to Diet Pepsi and lost 50 pounds in a month. Didn't change anything other than cut out the soda. But that's when I had a metabolism. wasn't huge or anything. This is kind of the biggest I've ever been, give or take a few pounds. But then you don't drink regular soda, so your body gets used to that, and then you can't, metabolism is just a mother, All right. Never named any vehicles I own, but the Bronco, for some reason, I think it was just a sentimental thing on his front. Billy also wanted before he passed. Actually, get my coffee without any of those flavorings or sugar. Good for you. Yeah, you can't drink caffeine, Nordic. That's right. You made me tell me. Caffeine is my master. Look, if you're going to do drugs, caffeine's not a bad choice. Actually, if you're going to do drugs, caffeine's the best choice. Because I don't have a problem with drinking alcohol, but I do not find that addictive. It's not in my blood at all. So, but some people have a problem with it. I'm not related to any of those people, but there are people out there that have a problem with them, and there's some of them that it does not make you a better person. Okay, your excuse was for parents swung by the house as I got home. I've been clearing out my basement closet, include throwing all the boxes on Manchester Building Authority buildings. Yeah, once you can get yourself to throw one of those boxes away, it's easier. But yeah, I know it's hard to throw away some boxes. Like, I've got these boxes. This particular one's beautiful. That the 263 came in. Which is funny because there's no decals for the Africa Corps, but yet they're two Africa Corps buildings. And look at that Jaraboa just hightailing out of here. Like, he didn't like them Nazis chasing him down. Like, hell with this, I'm getting out of here. So, yeah, nice artwork. But I can't drink caffeine. I can't drink dark drinks because of kidney stones. Well, I spend nothing but drinking water all day long, so I save the dark drinks for now. So no coffee either, huh? Well, I guess if you've had a kidney stone, you're like, it's not worth it. One of the boxes still had a building in it. Definitely hard to let go of the boxes. Take up too much room. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. My dad felt one of the boxes was heavier than the rest, and enough. Brand new building still wrapped in plastic inside the box. So what do your folks think of that you've got so many games? They give you a hard time? And he's like, well, he could be into this or freaking drugs, so I'm glad he's into this. At least they know where to find you, right? You'll be at home. There's a lot worse things you could be doing than playing games. You know, it's like my wife knows where to find me. I'll be right here. A lot worse things you could be doing. Never liked coffee, so it wasn't much of a loss. If you ever had a kidney stone, believe me, it's not worth the death-dealing pain to drink that stuff. Everybody that's had one has said the same thing. It's horrible. I don't need that. No. I had one guy that used to work for me. He'd get them all the time, and he went to the doctor and he said whatever his body was predisposed to create more calcium or something like that, so it was like a problem for him. I'm always drinking a shitload of liquids though. I'm like, always gotta have something in my mouth. Don't go there. I laid it up perfectly for you. joke is funny even if you're the target. Ice cold milk, huh? Man, I never drink milk. And it's not that I dislike milk, but milk makes you thirsty. So why drink something that makes you thirsty and doesn't give you a buzz? There, I added that in there because I know what was coming up next. It's time to break out a new sheet. Is this the last one? Holy smokes. This is the last one. Really? I've gone through that much magnetic sheeting? Well, I'll have to order more of this stuff. I mean, I'm already on this bullet train, but I'm not going to really travel with this stuff. You want to play this, you're going to have to come to my house and play it. I'm not taking this on the road. Mainly because of the setup time, And we're playing it on the weekends. We ain't playing it on this Monday night bullshit. You're going to play when the guy who's doing all the work doesn't have to work the next day. Slaves don't come in Tony flavor. Might actually be a little too big. Let's cut that down a little bit. Don't have to be precise about this. One more? One more. Damn, you two are learning not to give me ammo. Yep. I do miss Pepsi, but I'd rather not run the risk of getting another stone because of drinking that stuff. Yeah. Well, I was a big Pepsi drinker, Diet Pepsi drinker, and then they changed the sweetener in it about 10 years ago, and it sucked. So this is the shit I want. What is this? This crap that I've given my life to? Phenylalanine, whatever. It's a preservative. I drink a lot of water. Even more if I go to the gym. Actually, the problem is I go to the gym, I drink too much water. So I actually sometimes feel yucky because I've had too much water to drink. And yes, you can drink too much water. Like at once kind of thing. Got one of these mysteries. I go over when Luke used to come over all the time. That motherfucker would drink like a 6-pack of beer every single freaking time he would by himself. Never once did he go to the bathroom. I think he's wearing a diaper. I have one beer, I gotta go to the bathroom like 3 times. Like, I don't have to, I can hold it, but then I'd be uncomfortable. Who the hell wants to be uncomfortable? Tea, beer, coffee, I'd pee like there's no tomorrow. Any of those. Like I can already tell, I could go to the bathroom now. Not like I can't hold it. One reason I am not looking forward to going to the movies again. It's just a pain in the butt. You got a full bladder, and then you don't want to miss the movie, and you're uncomfortable there the whole time, and they don't pause it. It's super expensive, and there's nothing out at the movies. It's You go walking, you should drink 2 bottles. That's really hot here. Humidity is really bad. Walk 6 miles. Go through the warm months after a place. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't drink the water, then you get a crushing headache because you're dehydrated. At least I do. Okay, time to get my buddy out, which is baby-ho. Rough gray pumice. No, this does not get stored up here where it's in the way of everything. That's how this place turns into a mess. I don't put my things back where I found them. And there's only one person to blame, and they're right here. I was watching one of your DBA battles against Mitch's brother. Can I guess which battle it is? Mitch doesn't have a brother. Actually, he does, but they don't play. You're talking about Luke. That's his son, believe it or not. He had him when he was like 19 or something like that. So that's how the math works out. And he's not even from Kentucky. They would have had him when he was 14. Which battle? How about the Batavian one? That was a good battle. And not just because I won that one. That has nothing to do with it. If it was against Luke, maybe the Batavian battle. Oh, you're probably watching Alexander crap. Alexander the hairdresser. That's what we call him when he goes into battle and rolls a shitload of ones. Alexander the hairdresser. He shows up and rolls a shitload of ones. Oh. Nope, it's not the real Alexander. Alexander versus Persia. Yep. And I'm pretty sure I played Alexander and got my ass beat. Got shot to bits. I saw an article. You weren't here when I was talking about this, but I downloaded an article. I'm glad you can download issues of miniature war games or whatever it's called, War Games, Soldiers, and Strategy. And the particular one that I downloaded, or I bought it, because it had World War II stuff in it, it had a Killing Alexander scenario at the Granicus using Lion Rampant rules. And I may give them a swing. I've played the game a couple times, Lion Rampant, and I like the press your luck mechanisms that it has. And I may play that with some of the 15mm figures. But right now, my heart's in WW2. Back to WW2. Lion Rampant, yeah. There was a scenario about killing Alexander, and it was using Lion Rampant. Well, Lion Rampant, you can use based figures for DBX. You just mark off the casualties on them. You could use a little pipette, like we used to do in the 80s when you were playing Johnny Reb or something like that. You mark off your casualties left to right, and then when you take, more than the stand comes off. You could just use it just as easily and not have to rebase anything. Now, point values may be an issue because I think the infantries are like in groups of 6s, and heavy infantry would end up being 8s. It'd be 2 stands to make them up, but the same rules affect both sides, so I don't think it's a big deal. It's not like you're going to run in a tournament of it or anything. If you're not running a tournament, you can do whatever the hell you want. If people don't like it, they can play their own damn game, Yeah, I've played Lion Rampant a couple times. and I liked it. Now, the only thing I don't like about Land Rampant is it's a little too generic. But that's easy to fix, you know? That's easy to fix. But the mechanics, the pressure-like mechanics, I like that. I don't like that you're forced to have units of a certain number of figures. But, you know, you can just design a scenario and, you know, maybe this group has 9. Maybe this group has 7, you know? All those, like, really strict things are, you know, for tournaments. And I don't plan on playing another tournament ever again of any kind. And it's not because I've had a problem with tournaments, but you know, the only reason I was even playing in tournaments was just so I could play with my own stuff. So I think it's a decent game. It's certainly got enough. The core rules are decent enough that you can add details where you want, if you want to make certain units different or behave more like their historical counterparts. Still have your Line Rampant rules right next to you, but no miniatures for it. Lazy Rick. Keep them close to the computer so I can get the right number of figures ordered when the time comes. Then you have rules playing your own stuff in public. Only if it's Warhammer. Can't play with your own stuff in Warhammer. Can't be painted. Yeah, I'm not putting on stuff with it. I'm going to the show in April. I'm not even bringing any of my figures. Nope, just don't want to deal with it. Don't want to deal with it. I've said it before. I'm more of a painter than I am a gamer. I can play video games to get my game fix if I need to. This is, you know, video games do not solve the creative dilemma, you know. I want to be creative and artsy, you know. Hard to be artsy playing video games. I was playing one of those flight simulator games I was talking about with, they came out with one over the Pacific of World War II. I'm like, cool, I'll be able to talk with some people about World War II shit. Those guys don't know dick. They don't know anything about World War II, the people playing them. And they're not 7-year-old kids either. You know? I'm like, to them, this is just like playing Halo, you know, or something. Like, those aren't my people. I don't know what you're laughing about, but as long as you're laughing. As long as you're entertained. Do you want to talk World War II? Let's talk World War II. What topic you want to start with? I don't know. Not the Pacific. I grew up gaming with two people, 3 people, 2 or 3 people, maybe 3. That if the U.S. wasn't in a conflict, they weren't interested in gaming. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, you know, I'm already American, you know, and don't have a problem with that at all. I'm glad, actually, but you can't do any fun accents, you know. You can't do any fun accents when you're playing American. Okay, this guy's going to be sealed. And we're not ready to do that yet, so we're going to move him off to the side. All right. Which one are we doing next? The other one without figures. Not because I'm afraid of doing the figures, just it's going to take a little longer. That is this one with this one. And I think we've got it in a way that we can put this thing on here and the turret's still going to be able to turn. So that's pretty cool. Oh, we do need to do some null oil on there. So let's get the null oil action going. You know, you can make your own normal oil. I'm sure you can. I don't have the. I've got to sub some stuff out. You know, they're always telling you at work to delegate shit. Well, here's something you could delegate. Make some normal oil for me, and I'll just buy it. Just a little bit, just a little, just a wee bit. Sounds like something that. Sounds like you didn't make it to the bathroom. Oh, did you pee yourself? Oh, just a wee bit. I kill me. It's all about contrast. I want this to look good up close, but also to have all these details visible 3 feet away. And if you don't have enough contrast, you're going to fail in that mission. I don't think I'm going to screw with anything else. If you could pick one individual from World War II to sit down with and have an in-depth talk, who would you pick? You know, again, it would have to be for scenarios. You know, I don't want to talk to somebody like super strategic. I don't like that kind of stuff. And I know, I understand. I've there've been several polls on like the computer game forums, and most war gamers prefer to play a Hitler or a Rundstedt or whatever than, you know, than a company commander role. And I prefer. I don't care about the narrative of production and that kind of stuff. I care about the narrative of where the hell did the grenade land, you know? So, who would I like to sit down with? I don't know. I don't trust. I have trust issues. You know, I have trust issues that, you know, I'm talking to somebody and they're just going to make it sound like they're, you know, they're great and like the best thing since sliced bread. You know, or they're gonna modify their story to make it, you know, seem like makes them look better, you know. And have a sit down discussion with Rommel or Guderian. I need to read more about Guderian, but I have a feeling that he was a pain in the ass to work with. I have a feeling he's a major pain in the ass. And I haven't read anything specifically really focused on him, but he really seemed like more of a prima donna than just about any other German general. I mean, unless you're talking to somebody like, you know, somebody like a Himmler, a Sepp Dietrich, or somebody like that. Somebody really political. Just for somebody that's just in the Wehrmacht, he seemed like he was a real pain in the ass to deal with. Mannerheim. Rommel. Rommel was like... there's that one scenario where he goes, and I was reading about that history section that Tick does on... it's like 8 hours long on Operation Crusader, where Rommel basically hands the British a win by being overly aggressive and overly aggressive in the wrong way. Well, that whole battle was just filled full of all kinds of mistakes. You know, the Germans did an attack and they captured like the headquarters unit of one of the armored brigades. And then like the next day or two, the New Zealanders do the same thing to the Africa Corps. Now they don't catch anybody like they don't catch any super high ranking people there, but both headquarters fall within like 2 days of each other. They can't see what's going on, so much dust and so much misinformation and stuff like that. But one of the things that happens during the battle, and Rommel's having all these problems because Rommel's commanding the whole group, including the Italian forces. Even though he's got to kind of ask permission on whether or not he can move the Italian forces, but he's kind of the commander on the ground of basically everybody. And there's this guy that commands the Africa Corps, which is the two Panzer divisions mainly, and some other units, but mainly the two Panzer divisions. This guy named Crewell, and him and Rommel are not seeing eye to eye at all. Rommel is wanting to do more dashing things, and Crewell's a little bit more practical. And sometimes, one of them has the better outlook for that particular situation. Rommel wants to, go off and try to encircle things, and Crewell wants to get everybody together and just bash them. And sometimes that doesn't work because they take, tank casualties and stuff like that, or, so it's not one way's better than the other, but Rommel will tell him to do something, and then he'll pretend he didn't get the orders and do something different, and he's kind of undermining his work. But Rommel shows up on the scene and ends up taking off to what they call the dash for the wire. So they go and try to cut the some of the divisions off from their base, and end up getting cut off themselves. And there's just a big mess. So there's one situation where he gets lost behind enemy lines, and his vehicle breaks down. He's got one of them big, I guess at that point he'd already captured one of them. I think they're called Dorchesters. Anyways, it's a British vehicle, that they, very distinct silhouette, and it breaks down, and I forget who it is. I want to say it was Indian troops, Indian troops like from India, one of the brigades. Like through the middle of the night, they're like hunkered down, and they go by him, and they just don't play him. They don't pay him any attention, because they figure it's a British vehicle from the silhouette and everything. And so he almost got captured. It's pretty close to how that happened, but there's some really interesting things that happened in that battle, and it went on for, I want to say a couple weeks. And it was a slugfest of one side gets ahead and they make a mistake, and then the other guy gets ahead. It's just really, really interesting. But one of the guys that has a YouTube channel called Tik, T-I-K, History, he does a whole 8-hour thing, and this guy dives deep into talk about scenario stuff. He's got maps and icons, and you can really understand. And you need to understand something that complicated. That is a really complicated battle. Okay, how are we looking on this guy? That, I think, should be okay. Sealing this guy. Oh, we gotta add a fake license plate number. We can do that later. Okay, so this guy here. We've already done the dry brush of the Luftwaffe blue, so we need to pick out some details with the mixture of the two. There's a lot of refights that would be really interesting to do, but the information just isn't there to do them. Like when it comes to naval things, I think one of the most interesting things to refight, I don't know how the hell you would do it, would be the Battle of Jutland. But wait for it. Not the whole battle from the beginning, but the part where the Germans turn away and the British chase them, and they cut through their own formation in the middle of the night, and still the Germans make it away. I think that would be like an insane thing to play. But you've got to figure out okay, what damage condition were the German ships in? before, because they got the crap beat out of them. You know, they stayed afloat, but they got the crap beat out of them by the Grand Fleet when the T was crossed, and because of nightfall, they were able to get away. I think that would make a very interesting scenario, because you got capital ships at like point blank distances from each other. I think that's probably the most interesting naval engagement to play out that I've never been able to play out. And it's mostly due to, it's a huge magnitude, and also you don't know what condition the Germans are in, But I like naval situations where things happen that didn't happen in real life. Like I always like games where, or were infrequent to happen. I always like games that involve the convoy, and the convoy ends up getting shelled, in the middle of a battle, like, or aircraft carrier getting hit by gunfire. Like, get the hell out of here. This is a surface gunfight, And it could happen depending on, what the situation is. If it's like a Mediterranean battle, that could certainly happen. Let's I don't know who I'd want to talk to. I'd be afraid of, if you said somebody like, Manstein or something like that, it's like he's going to be manipulating, the thing to make it seem like he's more of a genius. I've got the what is it called? The memoirs of a guy named Rouse, he was many things, but he was the commander of the 6th Panzer Division when during Operation Barbarossa, and the 6th Panzer Division, the one that had that famous encounter, one of the famous encounters with a KV blocking the road, and they had to do all kinds of crazy shit to get rid of it. And then he was still commander of the 6th during Wintergewitter. So he's in some interesting places that I'm particularly interested in. Reading about, because it's areas that interest me on the Eastern Front. But it's just all kinds of self-serving nonsense. It's like, he's God's gift to everything. And if all they had to do was just clone him and they would have won the war. So it's a little too like, really? I mean, there's no doubt that he was a good commander. Nobody's putting that in a doubt. But the fact that, he's God's gift to whatever and didn't make any mistakes is kind of like, a bit hokey. I'm a bit too old for that, I'm ready to watch whatchamacallit again. Generation War. Okay. I guess I could go ahead and paint the tires. It's not like this stuff's going to get in the way. I'll go ahead and paint the tires. F it. Feel like you should be doing something hobby-wise, but I don't know what. Clean the flash off of something. That's a tough question. I don't really want to spend the evening with a Nazi or a communist. You know what I'm saying? I mean, neither one of them. I need to reread that book, that short story that guy wrote that I have here that's out of print. And it's, you know, it's all historical fiction and stuff like that, but there might be some inspiration on there. I feel a lot of it is going to lead me down the, hey, we want to build some Panthers thing, which I've got one to repaint. I've got two to repaint and one to paint for the first time. So I've got Panthers to do. I just got to solve the... And we're going to use the spray paint. We're going to use the airbrush for the camouflage scheme. And, you know, we'll still brush paint and dry brush on top of it. I don't think I'm going to weather with the airbrush. I want a little bit more contrast than that. So we're doing the two Rodin ones first before we go into the Plastic Soldier Company ones. So you weren't here earlier, Nordic, but I've been looking for the Pegasus models for the KV1, KV2. Because they're pretty affordable and you get two vehicles in it and you get 4 turrets. So you get 2 KV1 hulls or KV2 hulls and then 2 KV1 turrets and 2 KV2 turrets. So you can switch out the turrets as needed. And Marcus did a recon for me, found out a vendor that had them in stock supposedly, and I ordered them. So we'll see if they show up. But I am really, I'm enjoying painting the Soviet vehicles more than the German vehicles. I know that sounds really strange. You know, because I'm like, well, the Soviet vehicles are just going to be boring. I'm just enjoying not making them boring. Which you don't have to try very hard with the Germans. The German stuff's really interesting. Or, you know, they make lots of different varied stuff, but I'm really enjoying the Soviets. Which is really cool. I'm enjoying them a lot more than I thought I was going to. Let's put it that way. But then I enjoyed the Shermans a lot more than I thought I was going to. Finished purchasing Hitler's last gamble. That sounds like Battle of the Bulge, is it? Or is it the Budapest stuff? So I came to the realization that it's awfully coincidental that the Germans really start getting their ass beat when Hitler takes over. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have happened anyways, but when he ends up taking overall command, is kind of the time period where, and he's wanting to micromanage everything. And that's, I think, one of the parts that made the, at least early in the war, that made the Germans so much more effective than many other nations, was that they gave their officers more freedom of action. And once that started, like, basically being something they couldn't do anymore, is when things really started going sideways for them. Well, there's multiple reasons, but that's, that's one thing that's kind of really becomes apparent. Once they're not able to fall back to, make them come in and then encircle them kind of stuff. When they have all those limitations put on them. I lied. I decided to do some painting mainly because the painting tray was within reach and the game was not, and I'm not in the mood to get up. Ultimate laziness. Oh, punching Hitler's last gamble. I thought purchasing. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, don't buy it again. You already have it. That would be silly. All right. I must go to the restroom now. And I will be right back. So the only corners I feel like I've been cutting, the only corners I feel like I've been cutting is I could spend a lot more time customizing these vehicles and adding little rags and set. But at some point, if you look at any of the detail sets for these vehicles, it costs more than the vehicle. And I'm like, at some point, I need to finish up what I have, and then we can move forward with that. But, I don't want to spend $20 for a decal set that, yes, I could probably get 2 vehicles worth because you don't have to put all the stuff on here. But, like, for instance, it's a company called Red Dog, and they make really good stuff. And they make a detail set for the 263. And it's got all kinds of rags up here and all kinds of pockets, and it would look really cool, but I gotta pay for it, and then I gotta ship it here. I don't need to spend $20 extra on top of every vehicle that I already have. So at some point, or spend countless hours trying to master how to do things in green stuff. So it's just like, that's something I could be doing, but I haven't. So, anyhow, no, get to do something like M10s or something like that. That might be different. I got a bunch of details and backpacks and stuff to add to the M3 half tracks when we go back around to hit the Americans again. But at some point you can't just keep throwing money at the problem. You're gonna run out of money. As I like to say, is you got to be happy with what you have, not what you don't have. So that's kind of the only thing that I've kind of cut corners on, so to speak, because you could just go down a slippery slope where you just keep spending and spending and spending and spending. And the waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Point, they're gaming pieces, not display pieces. Yeah, it'd be nice to, make them all different, but they're all gonna look different. They're gonna be different enough. Like Plastic Soldier Company makes a detail set. Of course, they only make it for the Germans. They don't make it for everybody else. But they could extra crews and road wheels and stuff like that for the German stuff. It's like $30 freaking dollars. Because it would have been nice to put some extra road wheels on those Czech 38s, like they're carrying them on the back. To make each one of them that much different. But I'm like, I just can't justify spending that kind of money on it. Yes, it would look cool, but you got to be sensible. So, okay, so that's all the things that end up being black. I do not like the 20mm cannon in black or gunmetal. I like it painted the same color as the tank. I've seen both. I don't like how it looks like a big machine gun. It just looks wrong. So I choose not to do it. It's even worse if it's in the desert. It really stands out. A lot about 50mm. Are Old Glory 15s a good match with Essex miniatures? I think so. Old Glory are more proportioned correctly. Essex guys tend to be short-legged. But the Essex stuff is nice. The problem, the thing I say about Essex is Essex figures are fine, but when you're done with an Essex army, I'm not dying to do another one right away, because a lot of the poses are really similar from each one. From each one. So. And I wish that their website did not have them painted by the person that painted them, because they don't do them any service. It's not very inspiration. They don't look very inspirational. Okay. Right. So let's take this. It's getting pretty late. I'm just going to go ahead and call this one. Yeah, it's getting pretty late. We've been on here a while, haven't we? Yeah, almost 3 hours. That's a lot for a weeknight. And we're going to spray this when we get a chance, and that way that will be done. And this basing should be good to go in the morning. I am not looking forward to putting where the little wheels go on each one of them. And no, I'm not going to pre-dip them in there, because that's going to be a problem then. But you saw a bunch eBay grid price, bunch of Essex, several old glories for Hittites. I wouldn't buy what's on sale. I'd buy what you want. So, but anyways, thanks as always. Thanks for stopping by, folks, and we'll catch